recently had a conversation with one of my friends asking me about long distance relationships because, well, you don't know if work. Now, my boyfriend lives in Theodore, Alabama at the moment, and I live in Kennesaw. That's 383 miles apart, like a 5-hour drive, which isn't bad because I know some people have longer distances, but nonetheless, it doesn't make it less challenging. And I know a lot of people are looking for advice on long distance relationships. Now, I'm not an expert. I'm just going to speak from my heart and speak from my experiences. Now, me and my boyfriend have been together almost a year this time around. We did date before when he lived in Georgia. And we didn't start dating again till this year, and he lived in Alabama. Yay me. But very far. But it's far enough that we can't see each other as often. They don't work, how they do work, and all this stuff. Now, a lot of long distance relationships work, but at the same time they don't. Where we live and we have lots of responsibilities. And we have a lot of ups and downs. And we don't argue a lot, but like every other relationship, there are arguments. And it's not bad, but at the same time, it's bad because you can't see each other, like physically see each other and physically hold each other when you make up. That's one of the hardest parts, is waking up and knowing that the person you love is not going to wake up beside you. You can't just take a 30-minute drive whenever you feel like seeing them. You have to plan the whole thing out because you have to take off of work. You have to make sure you have a place to stay. You have to make sure everything is taken care of. You can't just up and leave. And it's hard. Granted, it's easier if you do it with the right person. It is a big help. So, that being said, in a long distance relationship, you need a strong foundation of trust and a strong bond because it is very challenging not being able to be in your partner's presence every day or almost every day like regular couples are. I have seen my boyfriend this year a handful of times. I've seen him on my birthday, I've seen him on his birthday, and I've seen him about 3 times in between those days. So I've seen him about 5 times from January till now, which is October. So in a 10-month span, I've seen my boyfriend 5 times. And granted, some of those were just a couple of hours together, and some of them, thankfully, were a couple of days together. And yes, I know many people are thinking, why are you with somebody that you can't see every day? Well, it boils down to the fact that I love him and he physically and mentally makes me want to be a better person. Even though he's not near me, he still pushes me to do better in my life. He still pushes me to be a better person, to be nicer, because I know I can be not so nice at times. And long distance relationships do not work. But in honest truth, a long distance relationship is just a regular relationship with more distance between you. Now, like any relationship, you need a strong foundation, because without a strong foundation, you won't work. I'm sorry, it's a sad truth, but you honestly won't work if you don't have a strong foundation. I have been in a long distance relationship for about a year now. Me and my boyfriend have been together about 3, because we dated before and we recently just got back together. Now, he lives in Alabama and I live in Kennesaw, which is in Georgia, which isn't very far. It's only 383 miles apart from each other, about a 5-hour drive. It's not that much of a time difference. He just happens to be 1 hour behind, which kind of makes everything a little bit easier. But we were friends before we started dating. He's been my best friend for about 6 years. So, one thing in a long distance relationship is that you need a strong foundation of trust. You need a strong foundation of communication. And you gotta be honest with each other, and you need a strong foundation of friendship. So we're gonna start with friendship. Get to know each other first before you decide, oh, I like him, I like her, I'm going to date her. I don't care if she lives in Northern Ireland and I live in Canada. You can. It will work for some people. It won't work for some others. But if you build a strong friendship, then you would honestly be laying down the brickwork for a strong line of communication and trust. Now, a long distance relationship requires probably a lot more trust than a relationship with you dating somebody that lives like 10 minutes down the street, because you don't get to see your partner as much as you probably would like to. I have seen my boyfriend about, let's say, about 6 times this year in a 10-month span. 10-month span. And in that 10-month span, we spent only a couple of hours, most of them, for his birthday. We spent about a week together because we went on a trip to North Carolina. And that trip really helped because we got to sit down and talk about things. And we have a strong line of communication already outside because of the long distance relationship. We talk almost every day about anything and everything. And when we argue, we don't walk away from each other. That's one thing you need to not do in a long distance relationship. When you argue, don't walk away from each other. Sit there and talk it out. Because the distance puts a lot of stress on your relationship. So, with that being said, a lot of the little arguments aren't because you're mad. A lot of the little arguments are just simply because you miss them and you want them there with you. And you can't have them there with you at the moment. and it really sucks. But all of this is really worth it when you get to see each other for, even if it's for just a few hours, because you remember the fights, the arguments, well, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. You realize why you do it. Having somebody in your corner that pushes you to be a better you is always a fantastic thing, because they seen you at your lowest, they seen you at your best, and they know you better than you probably know yourself sometimes, because I know everybody gets lost. And having that person you can lean on when you feel like you're lost and to help you guide you is very important. And the fact that somebody can do it from far away makes it even more special. And one thing you really, really need to have in a long distance relationship is to make sure you have a strong foundation of communication and trust. Because without communication, there's going to be a lot of issues coming up, because you're not talking about how something makes you feel. And if you don't have a strong foundation of trust, then why are you even together? Because honestly, you're going to worry about, oh, are they with so and so? Are they doing this and that? And everything under the moon they're not supposed to do. And that's just added stress to your everyday life. Like everything you have to worry about, your job, school, family. You don't need to add all that stress to it. Now, I'm not saying long distance relationships aren't stressful. They are, in a way, stressful because, like I said before, you don't have your partner close to you, so you're going to worry about them. But if you communicate and you trust them, it makes everything a lot easier. It makes everything flow easier. And if you have the foundation of friendship before you start to date, then you know how they are, you know what ticks them off, you know when something's wrong, you know when they're lying. God forbid they're lying about something bad, but you know. And in a long distance relationship, you kind of have to figure out what works for both of you, set time aside, and just talk to each other. Like, I'm happy if me and my boyfriend are on like FaceTime and I'm doing my homework and he's playing his games. I'm happy that way, because at least I get to see him and somewhat spend some type of time with him, which is like a stress reliever because everything else stresses me out. And then I have this time with my boyfriend where I'm just not stressed out, and a lot of long distance relationships, you fight and you argue because you miss each other. And so when you have that set time, it makes you feel like you're special, and it makes you feel like everything is okay and everything is regular and normal. And it just relaxes you, basically. But at the same time, you're going to have your challenges of not seeing each other every day, or not being able to pack up your car and go see them whenever you feel like it, because it's a 5-hour drive, which means you have to plan and you have to take off of work. You have to make sure everything is straight, because maybe you'll go for a day or two and that's all you can get. Well, all the time you can get, it's perfectly fine. Like I stated before, I seen my boyfriend about like 5 or 6 times, and most of those were just like a couple of hours. And in those couple of hours, he took me out on dates, or we sat and we talked and we ate, and it was just relaxing. And it made me remember why I put up with 383 miles in between us at the time. It makes me realize that I really do care about him and I really do love him. And in being in a long distance relationship, it helps you not feel so pressured to be perfect all the time, because you get to see how they are in everyday life, but you also get to see a side that a lot of people don't get to see. And I say that in a way of people who see them every day know how they act. And when they see you and they don't see you every day, they make sure to focus on you. And they make sure to focus on making you feel special and making sure you're okay and you're having a good time. And it makes everything worth it. Because at the end of the day, you love them and they love you. Every argument you have or every mistake they make is going to be irrelevant. Well, not irrelevant, but it's going to be tiny in comparison. And if you trust them with your heart enough that you're going to be in a relationship long distance, then that's how you know. Now, I know some people with long distance relationship that works and they're very happy. And I know some people who had a long distance relationship that didn't work out, and it's kind of up in the air. But honestly, whether it works or not boils down to whether you and your partner put the time and effort into it. Whether you and your partner love each other. And yes, granted that sometimes people in long distance relationships, because it's for the best for them at the time, granted that is showing love, because the other person needs space, needs less stress or whatever, and you can get back together in the future. But like I stated, the main things to making a long distance relationship work is a strong foundation of friendship, so you know you can go to them if you need to be going to them, so you know you have a friend as well as a partner. It's a strong line of communication and trust, so you can talk freely and openly about everything and not have to worry about them being sneaky or shady wherever they live. It is being honest with each other, whether it's going to hurt their feelings or not. You need to be honest so that they have set so that they're set in reality, and so they're not expecting anything that's not going to happen, and basically just building a foundation to have a very strong bond that can stand through anything, and remembering that your partner's feelings does matter. They do matter, Your feelings matter too, but your partner's feelings matter as well. So don't do anything that you wouldn't do if your girlfriend was 30 minutes away from you. Don't do anything you wouldn't do if your boyfriend was 30 minutes away from you. Don't break the bond, don't break the trust or the line of communication. Don't be shady and don't be sneaky. Like, if you feel like you shouldn't be doing it, then you probably shouldn't. So just stay loyal, have faith, and pray, and pray, and pray, and pray, and talk. And just love each other, and it will work out. And I'm not saying you won't have your arguments, because me and my boyfriend, we have our arguments, we have our disagreements, we clash heads. But at the end of the day, before any of us go to sleep, we talk it out. We will give each other space if we notice that they need space after the argument, but we always talk it out before the end of the day to make sure that there's no hard feelings, to make sure that neither of us goes to bed mad or upset or feel like they're not wanted or they're not appreciated, because we appreciate each other very much. So I hope that this helped you out, and I hope that your relationships work out. I really do. Thank you, and bye.